You wake up to a blaring alarm, grab a lukewarm coffee, and sit in a mile of bumper-to-bumper traffic. Then you spend 8 hours at a desk, commute home, and maybe check a few more emails from the couch. When you meet someone new, the very first question they ask is almost always, "What do you do?" We have built a society where your personal identity and your value to others are tied directly to how you earn a paycheck. Human beings have walked the earth for roughly 300,000 years. For 290,000 of those years, there were no applications, no managers, and no shifts. The concept of a job simply did not exist. Looking at this 24-hour breakdown of a typical modern day, we see the red section devouring half the dial, consumed entirely by work, commuting, and staying plugged in to the office. The modern schedule barely leaves enough room for sleep. If our ancestors didn't have bosses to report to or 40-hour weeks to clock in for, how did they feed themselves? And what did they actually do all day? We often imagine early humans constantly living on the very edge of starvation, fighting for survival from sunrise to sunset. The archaeological record paints a much calmer picture. They lived among abundant, naturally growing food sources, and their days were largely peaceful. Watch how our chart changes for a hunter-gatherer schedule. The required work slice shrinks down to an average of 3 to 5 hours a day. The rest of the dial fills with blocks of time for socializing, resting, playing music, and creating art. We can observe this efficient lifestyle today with groups like the Hadza people in Tanzania. Men typically hunt for a couple of hours in the morning, and women gather food together in groups. By the afternoon, their chores are completely done. No one introduced themselves as a professional gatherer, and there was no fixed career track. You simply saw what the group needed, you did it, and then you just went back to enjoying your day. These groups made decisions together. Anthropologists call their structure fierce egalitarianism. If someone tried to act like a boss or force others to work harder, the group would reject them. If you didn't like how things were run, you could literally just walk away. They lacked modern medicine and technology, but they possessed a rare gift of unstructured, unhurried time to observe their environment and connect with each other. This vast amount of free time began to disappear about 12,000 years ago, when early humans figured out how to plant seeds and permanently stay in one place. Agriculture demands constant physical labor. You have to weed, plant, and harvest on a strict schedule. You have to build permanent structures to store your crops. And because you are permanently tied to that specific plot of land, you have to defend it from rival groups. When you stop moving, you start accumulating things. Granaries fill up, fences go up to claim territory. Almost overnight, certain families ended up holding more resources than others. As populations in these settlements grew, individuals had to specialize to keep complex society running. You became a potter, maybe a soldier, or a skilled weaver. By doing only one thing, you lost the skills needed to feed and house yourself. This specialization meant individuals were no longer self-sufficient. A potter who doesn't know how to forage is forced to rely on the farmer, who in turn relies on the soldier. For the first time, human survival required performing one specific task for the benefit of others, day after day. Thousands of years later, the Industrial Revolution tightened the grip even further on humanity. Instead of working your own family plot, you went to a building owned by someone else and sold your time by the hour to make products you would never personally use. In these early mills and factories, people labored for 10 to 14 hours a day in miserable, dangerous conditions, breathing in cotton fibers that ruined their lungs for wages that barely kept them fed. The system demanded so much cheap labor that families had to send their children into coal mines, their faces covered in soot, just to keep a roof over their heads. The weekends and 8-hour workdays we have today were not handed out freely by generous factory owners. Workers organized widespread strikes and endured decades of violent resistance to win those basic boundaries. Fast forward to the era of computers and automation. The promise was that this technology would do our work for us and give us our free time back. Instead, our working hours stayed the same. We just started producing far more output. This bar graph clearly illustrates the toll. A typical medieval peasant, taking off Sundays, winter breaks, and harvest festivals, worked roughly 1,500 hours a year. Today, the average American logs over 1,800 hours. We walk around with supercomputers in our pockets and have access to life-saving medicine, yet we are chronically stressed, having surrendered our days to a system that demands constant productivity. There is a reason the artificial hum of a fluorescent office feels so exhausting, and stepping outside into the sunlight feels like waking up. By building complex societies, we gain steady food supplies, sanitation, and physical security for millions of people. But to get those things, we made a substantial trade-off in our autonomy and leisure. Biologically, you have the exact same brain and the exact same nervous system as the people who carved flutes out of bone and spent their afternoons telling stories around a fire. We evolved to move our bodies, to gather in communities, to rest deeply when we're tired, and create things with our hands. A job is how you pay your rent and feed your family in the modern world. It is a necessary tool. However, your existence is far broader than your employment. The next time you're asked what you do, answer with the things that make you curious and the people you love. Your identity belongs to you, not your employer.